Hello.
Hi, everybody.
And welcome to Truth in Her podcast.
Episode number 3.
Woo!
You guys, we're so happy to be back.
Yes.
I'm so excited to finally be filming another episode.
Exactly. You know,
And
putting our creative vision really into the work.
yes,
Feels good.
it's super excited to keep the ball rolling.
Yeah, definitely.
And everything. So yeah.
And it's Thanksgiving Eve. Tomorrow's Thanksgiving.
Yes, tomorrow's
This is our
Thanksgiving.
Thanksgiving episode.
Yeah.
Pretty exciting.
I'm excited.
Feeling the grateful vibes.
I'm just so happy to have a break from school and just have a whole day with the family.
Yeah.
You know.
Oh my God, I can't wait.
I can't wait. It's just the beginning of the holidays, and the holidays are just so fun, happiness.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah, exactly. It's great. And you get to see a lot of family and stuff, and that kind of brings in our topic today. If you have a family member that you need to talk about something that's a little bit hard to talk about, we're going to be speaking about that today on this episode.
Yeah.
How to have a hard conversation in love.
Yep. And really, we all have difficult conversations with people, and I think it's something that's so hard to navigate because it's you're dealing with your own emotions and then somebody else's emotions, and sometimes it can get really messy.
Yeah.
And especially with politics and relationships and
emotions.
Yeah.
And
just gets messy.
yeah, viewpoints. It can get really hard.
Really hard. And sometimes you just don't even know where you're pulling points from, and it's just,
Yeah.
your pride and ego gets wrapped into it, and
You
it's
get
just
lost.
You don't really know how to navigate that. So today we're going to be talking about that, and we're going to be bringing a lot of Bible verse into it, and really just giving some good insight on all of the ways in which to go about it, and how to navigate it.
Yeah.
So let's talk about what happens when we go to somebody. How do we address when do we go, when do we not? How do we know if what we're feeling is perceived or if it's real? Because I know sometimes I'll be thinking something and I'm okay, am I just taking this personally, or it's just something small that I'm overreacting with, or is it something that I should actually be okay, let me speak my voice, let me tell this person how it's making me feel.
Right.
So how do we know the difference between the two,
Right.
And
I think it's good. I know whenever I know I'm about to have a hard conversation, I know I really like to prepare for them. Mm-hmm. So I'll ask myself certain questions about what I'm feeling, and how can I make the conversation the most productive and the most beneficial. I think it's also important to, it's better to have the hard conversation and do the work than to sacrifice the relationship. Mm-hmm. So to do that, it's best to go into that feeling as ready as possible.
right.
I guess when I'm about to have a hard conversation, some things I'll ask myself is what can I do to be more forgiving? How can I trust more? How can I be more vulnerable? How can I be gracious? Do I need to be more patient? Do I need to have more will? Am I when I think about talking about this, are the words coming to my head? Mm-hmm. Do I know what I'm going to be talking about?
Yeah.
And I think it's really important to get serious on why do I care to have this hard conversation?
Yeah.
Because because in that, then you'll find, what does that person mean to me?
Yeah.
And where is my heart with this person?
Yeah.
And it's really, really important to know that because you love them, and it's better to talk to them.
Exactly. And it's like you said, why are you going to them? Is it because, you're taking it personally, or is your ego getting wrapped up in it, or is it genuinely because you care about this person?
Yeah,
and there really is no feelings of trying to get at this person or something,
Right.
So it's really important to know that and to be really honest with that, because, it's easy to
identify.
angry.
Yeah, exactly. It's easy to identify with an emotion right away and be like, oh, I can't believe this, like, and then go to that conversation and then have it go completely sour.
Yes.
And you don't want that.
Yes.
It's really important to read your emotions beforehand and before, choose to either validate the emotion or heal and transform the emotion into something more productive that's going to help the relationship.
Yeah. Be productive. So in terms of like addressing somebody about something, if they hurt you or if you feel like they're doing something wrong or whatever it is, I listened to a sermon and he really used the word rescue. Remember that? And it was like, to rescue somebody is to be humble and do it from the heart, whereas like to kind of like lash out at somebody is to kind of like get your way. So rescuing is like where you're not eagerly looking for opportunities to point out the fault in others.
Yeah.
Because that's prideful, and you really want to do it out of obedience and respect for them, as well as respect for, God and your guys' relationship, and for their well-being. You want to rescue them from, maybe having a hard time in their life, or rescue your relationship.
Right. I think, too, it's really good to remember that God wants the best for everyone, and with keeping the situation, the future, and the highest good in mind, it's really good to remember what's God's will in this situation. What does God want out of both of us? What will glorify God with our relationship, and how do we get there?
Like you gotta come into the conversation with the mind of, is this glorifying God?
Yeah. Or is it glorifying myself?
Yep. Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's really important. There's a Proverbs verse, chapter 24, verse 11. It says, "Rescue those being led away to death, hold back those staggering towards slaughter." So, again, like the rescue thing.
Yeah. Yeah. You mentioned earlier something about how, like, doing the conflict resolution, helps your relationship with God, but it also helps your relationship with yourself. And there's a Colossians verse that says, "Let your speech always be with grace, as though seasoned with salt, so that you will know how you should respond to each person." And in the verse, salt means God's covenant with people. So that means like you're pretty much your relationship with God, and by forgiving somebody, and by us forgiving others too, that is how God, we get a taste of God in that. Like literally a taste of God.
Yeah.
That's funny that I said taste and there's salt in the verse.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah, you can really, really get a taste of God, and it's important to keep God in mind before you go into these conversations.
Yeah.
And being like, okay, is this about me, or is this about a relationship? Is this about, love? So we really got to check ourselves in that kind of situation.
Right.
A person's wisdom yields patience. It is to one's glory to overlook an offense.
Wow.
So, a lot of the times, you guys, we don't need to take everything, like, as an offense.
Yeah.
Like, we don't always have to be selfish in that way and to have to do everything out of, like, oh, well, you hurt me, well, this and that about me. And, sometimes it just takes the wisdom to be like, you know what, like, it's okay. Like, it's not that big of a deal.
I think definitely, too, as women, sometimes it can get hard for us because we're very emotional.
Yeah.
It's very, very hard to kind of stand behind the emotions and observe the emotions. It's very easy to just be like, oh, I am mad.
Yeah.
Rather than I'm feeling mad.
Yeah.
And for women, I would say whenever I see a woman like listening a lot and being slow with her emotions, I definitely see the wisdom in her, because she isn't identifying with them right away, and she's able to, you know,
Process them.
Yeah, and proceed in the situation with the knowledge of having the emotion.
Yeah.
You know, and able to like be like, okay, this is what I'm feeling, and then this is the situation. How do we move forward?
Yeah.
And that's a woman. That differs a girl from a woman.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Exactly. And like not using your emotions to weaponize other people and you know, use it as a tool in that way.
Yeah, I think a girl would do that.
Yeah.
I've done it before.
Oh yeah, me too.
Yeah. It's hard. It's really hard. You know, when you get really upset about something, and it's so easy to be like, I deserve this. I deserve this.
It's so hard. Like, I'll admit, even today, sometimes I'll catch myself like really, you know, getting wrapped up in my emotions, and like especially in my relationship, like it can be so easy to just be like, well, this and this and this, I feel this, and it's all about me. But you just have to take a step back and be like, and be like, whoa, like, I know I'm overreacting. I just need to, like, actively step back.
Yeah, like, you know? like you literally have to be like, oh my God, I need to shut up. Yeah. Like, I need to calm down and look at this.
Yes.
And then if you don't, like, you can go into a tornado. It sucks. It sucks.
Mm-hmm. And you also really have to, like, put yourself in the other person's shoes. You know?
Definitely.
Because,
you're right.
Like, sometimes I'll just be thinking about me, and then, you know, someone else will say something else, and then I'll have to totally put myself in their shoes and be like, wow, like, they are making a lot of sense right now.
Yeah.
And I don't want to admit it, but I'm going to.
Uh-huh. Yeah. I wrote down some tips to help us, you know, what does the actual, like, during the conversation, what does that look like? You know, something just happened in my family where we're doing a lot of peacemaking. We're doing a lot of hard conversations. And let me tell you, now I feel ready to go into any hard conversation. Like, you know, it's really, really important to take turns speaking from the heart with eye contact and parallel chests. You know, you need to be directly facing them because it shows respect.
It does.
And respect is, you know, that is so important in going into these kinds of conversations. You should make respect and growth at the very center because it helps and it's obvious, you know. And, you know, growth that cares, like genuine, true growth.
Right. And, like, if you think about it, like, we want respect, too. Like, think about what you would want when someone's coming to you with this. You know, don't be shoving it in people's faces. Like, really give them that respect of, like, you know, like, even the fact that they're, like, willing to listen to you. Like, give them that respect. Give them that, like, honor, you know?
Right. I think even our kindergartner teachers were right. They were like, treat others how you want to be treated.
Literally.
It's so true.
I mean, it all comes down to those little quotes, you know? Like,
it really does.
Believe in yourself. Yeah. Be nice to people.
Exactly. It literally is. Like, it's so funny how we still have to go back to those sometimes, but we do. It's important.
It's complex emotions, you know?
Exactly. I also have written down, during the conversation, let your yeses be yeses and your no's be no's. I know I have definitely been in conversation with somebody and just completely switched how I've thought about something, left the conversation and went, whoa, I don't even know what I just did. Like, I had this emotion, but now, you know, and I still have that emotion, but where did the conversation went completely west of it. And I wish I was a little bit more stronger with what I was saying. I wish I was a little bit more, you know, I wish I communicated better with what I was feeling.
Exactly.
You know, it's really important to listen. It's also really, really important to stay true to the emotions that you had already decided before you went into the conversation.
Yup. You're so right about that.
Yeah.
And, like, really, like, come in with a mission.
Exactly.
You know, come in with a mission. Come in with, like, okay, what are the goals for this? Like, think of the goals for the conversation. You know, don't just go and be like, why did you do this? Well, blah, 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 blah. You know, what's your mission? What do you want to accomplish? What are your yeses? What are your no's?
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
What are your boundaries? And, know when to walk away, know when to, stop talking.
Yeah.
Know when to apologize, and know when to listen, and know when to speak.
Yeah, definitely. It's also really important to, like, in the conversations me and my family have been having, I realized that there's more spaces where we aren't talking than there's spaces that we are talking. And, that's hard. It's hard to have a conversation like that, but it's important to, like, after somebody says something, you have to, like, I realized how much it's helping us gather our thoughts. Like, after someone says something really hard, that's hard to say and hard to hear, it's good to pause and ponder it together, both there, like holding each other's hand, or just feeling that sorrow for what's going on, or feeling the joy for what's going on, and really be in that moment together.
Right. That makes a lot of sense. Like, and that's definitely something I want to practice more. Just like, you don't have to speak back right away.
Yeah.
Like, sometimes you just gotta sit there and be like, or even be like, I don't even know what to say right now. Like, I have to think about this because I don't know how I feel about this.
Right.
I've definitely been in situations like that before, and I'm just like, wow, I don't know how I genuinely don't, like, I've never been faced with this kind of confrontation, or like this information someone's telling me, this hard information, and you just have to, like, think about it for a little bit and be like, okay, what kind of, like, morals and values are coming out of this? What kind of, ideas are coming out of this that I can form an opinion on, or form a response to, that is I think compassionate.
I think also, like, when we don't recognize that in ourselves, when we don't recognize the questioning that we have in ourselves, that's when we start to really identify with an emotion, and we don't know what to say. We just start speaking.
Right.
We just start speaking, like, filling the silences and filling, just speaking to speak rather than speaking to grow, and to, like, words that are productive and effective for the conversation.
It's gotta be productive.
Yeah, pausing during a hard conversation can really, really help.
Yeah, and respecting it,
Yeah, respecting the other person, respecting yourself. It's important.
And, like, knowing when to stop, too, because, like, we all know, like, we have conversations with some pretty difficult people that might not know, like, to not yell or to not get angry and, like, lash out. And so, like, sometimes you need to be like, okay, this is not going to be productive no matter what I say.
Right.
So sometimes you just need to stop and be like, okay,
make some connections in your brain and just be like,
can we talk about this later? Or, like, let's, walk away even.
Decide, and then maybe also decide, what words am I going to say that they might not even be able to hear right now in their journey. Yeah. Which is a little heartbreaking sometimes, because you have, like, an idea that you really want to give them, that would help them. But it just might take that sort of level of knowledge to be like, you know what, it's better to still, be with them and enjoy my everyday life with them, rather than completely, throwing out the relationship.
Yeah. Like, you can lead a horse to water, but you can't force it to feed.
Exactly. You have no idea how much I've heard that saying in the past couple months.
Like, sometimes no matter how much you say something,
you're so right,
they're not gonna get it, and you just gotta be like,
why waste your energy at that point?
You just gotta be like, okay.
It's spiritual energy that you're using on them.
Yeah, it's like, I choose peace.
Exactly. It's a little heartbreaking, for sure. Yeah. You kind of have to mourn in a way and be like, you know what, they're not gonna get what I'm saying right now, but it's better to save your time. Yeah,
it's like, it's better just to, keep that separate and just, live happy together and just accept that what we think is different. Right. But I think that is also something that should be practiced a lot in, like, talking about politics.
You're so right.
Because, sometimes you're just really not going to agree with somebody, and you just got to be respectful and be like, you know what?
Yeah, respect needs to be at the center. Yeah. Like, at the center, no matter who you are, what you're doing, or who the person is to you, like a homeless person on the street, I don't know, no matter who it is.
Just respect each other.
It's really, really important to respect them. I wrote down a really long Colossians verse. I think I'm going to read it. Okay. Because it relates to what we're talking about. Sweet. So it's Colossians 3, 1 to 11. If then you were raised with Christ, seek those things which are above, where Christ is sitting at the right hand of God. Set your mind on things above, not on things on earth. For you died, and your life is hidden with Christ in God. When Christ, who is our life, appears, then you also will appear with him in glory. Therefore put to death your members which are on the earth, fornication, uncleanliness, passion, evil desire, and covetousness, which is idolatry. Because of these things, the wrath of God is coming upon the sons of disobedience, in which you yourselves once walked when you lived in them. But now you yourselves are to put off all these: anger, wrath, malice, blasphemy, filthy language out of your mouth. Do not lie to one another, since you have put off the old man with his deeds, and have put on the new man, who is renewed in knowledge according to the image of him who created him, or Jesus. Where there is neither Greek nor Jew, circumcised or uncircumcised, barbarian, Scythian, slave nor free, but Christ is all and in all. So what they're saying essentially is like, in the kingdom of God, there's nothing that defines each other. There's nothing that, it's not skin color, it's not gender, it's not how long your hair is, it's not age, it's there's this new, like, once you have seen the kingdom of God, you understand what a brother is, what a sister is, you know, that it's no longer what you see on the outside, or connections that you're making on earth about them. You know, I think it's really good to go into a conversation or not even just a hard conversation, but like when it comes to conversations about politics, or people that you're having with, or conversations that you're having with strangers, this is a good verse to remember, because you can see them for their heart then, and understand them as a soul rather than like, you know, an earthly being. It's good to
I agree with you. Like, really take God's word and be like, okay, you know, everyone deserves this respect. It doesn't, like, Jesus isn't everybody. Like I said at the end, Jesus isn't everybody.
Yeah.
And Jesus is saving everybody. So give respect to these people out of respect that Jesus is working in their life.
Exactly.
And that, you know, it's not our job to always be the ones to, you know, be like, well, why aren't you understanding this? Like, they're gonna get there on their own timing, because Jesus is doing different things in their life.
Exactly.
And so, out of respect for that, you know, it's okay to walk away. It's okay to just love them and to just, you know, treat them as a human being. Like I said, like, in the kingdom of God, we're all brothers and sisters, you know?
Yeah, exactly.
And so, yeah, just really respect that God is working through these people, and in so many different ways, because we have vastly different lives than one another, and even that alone is just enough to be like, for me to like love everybody, because it's like, you really have no idea what other people are going through. Like, you might, like, I don't even know what you're going through. Like, you might know someone so well, but you don't know, you know, just the depth of their life, and their childhood, and their thoughts and emotions, and, you know, how they think and how they process things. And it just gets so deep that you just gotta respect it.
Right.
You know, you gotta respect it.
Yeah, when you kind of see, like, when you look at the world through the eyes that Jesus is looking at you through, it's so easy to say, okay, like, put down all the anger you had towards them and be like, actually, you know what, I love you, because we're one in Christ. And
yeah, because and we say that because Jesus died for everybody.
Exactly.
And he loved everybody.
You're so right.
And that proves that, you know, we're all equal. We all are loved. We all deserve that.
Yeah.
And that's the beautiful thing about Jesus.
Exactly.
You know, and that's the beautiful thing. That's the beautiful thing about Jesus, and it really gives us a lesson on, like, okay, I can do that too.
Yeah.
Not like Jesus, because, you know,
he is with God. He truly is God as a man, but
the best of our abilities and really, use him as an example.
And give him that respect and be like, you know what, I'm going to stand as someone who has been saved by him. I'm going to be that example and respect him in that way because he's my father. And then with his respect that he's given to you, then you can give his respect to other people. You know?
Right.
And then forgive others as well.
Exactly.
Because you've been forgiven. I love Jesus.
There's a really good quote in James, chapter 1, verse 19 to 20. It says, My dear brothers and sisters, take note of this. Everyone should be quick to listen, slow to speak, and slow to become angry, because human anger does not produce the righteousness that God desires. And there's another verse in Proverbs chapter 14, verse 29 that says, Whoever is patient has great understanding, but one who is quick-tempered displays folly. I mean, come on.
Yeah.
You don't want to be a fool.
No.
I'm just kidding. It's hard.
But being a slave to your emotions is going to make you a fool. It's unfortunate. It's going to make you a fool. It's going to get you out of the place where you're discerning, where you can have the logic. It's not going to...
Like, do we want to be quick-tempered people? Or do we want to be slow to speak, slow to anger, and quick to listen?
Yeah.
We don't want to be quick-tempered.
You're so right.
We do not want to be quick-tempered. It's allowing your emotions to directly control you, and I honestly think that, that's the easy way for, like, the devil to reach you, is just to, like, take control of your will.
Right.
Before you can even consciously think. Before you can consciously even think about God and Jesus, just take those emotions and run with it. And it's just, like, how many times does that get people in wrong situations,
You're so right. You're so
That's
right.
what people on drugs do.
It will always be like that. That's instantly giving yourself to him. You know what I mean?
Yes,
and instantly be like, okay, I just
blind.
Yeah, exactly.
Blind.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I saw this one guy online. He said, it's one thing to be a Christian at church and to do all the things and serve and give and stuff like that, but it's another thing to be Christian in the heart and be Christian at home.
Yes.
I think that the verse you just read is a really good way to be Christian at home and
practice that.
Yeah, and practice that in your everyday life and to go to school or work and be like, how do I slow down?
Yeah.
And how do I
practice this
and be mindful of it all, be mindful of others, be mindful of yourself, be mindful, like really take the deep breath and slow down and do that work. Really
be quick to listen, slow to speak, and slow to anger.
Yeah.
I love that verse.
Yeah, I love that verse. It might be one of my favorites, I'll be honest with you.
It's just so insightful and
it's so insightful.
Yeah. And also when we go to have a conversation, you want to come together. Yeah. So, being quick to listen and slow to speak is really going to help you guys, come together, whereas leaning to one side, if the goal is to come together completely.
Exactly.
And it really keeps your ego out of it. When you can keep your ego out of it and your pride out of it, that's like, honestly. Yeah. I'm like, do 50% of the work.
You're so right. You're so right. If you can be partial.
Yeah.
If you can be, is it partial or impartial? It's impartial, I think. I think it's impartial.
Okay.
Because partial means like you're on one side. You're just completely staying to one side.
Right.
But impartial is like being completely taking both sides and taking them both into consideration.
Right.
Yeah.
And also, like, going back to what we were saying about how peacemaking is glorifying God. Yeah. God is the true peacemaker, and He is the one that solves problems. God is the only one that can change a person's heart. So if you guys are not agreeing on something, or if the conversation gets really hard, and it gets to a point where you maybe have to walk away, or you agree to disagree, just know yes, Jesus is working in their heart, but God is the true peacemaker, and he's going to work in their heart to solve their problems. Only God can change a heart. So if you can't change a heart, you know,
it's so important to trust God.
You know?
Yeah.
And most of the time, you know, it's hard to change someone's heart unless it's through God.
Put the work in God's hands.
Exactly.
Because you're not going to save him. God does the saving.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
No matter how much knowledge you have, knowledge does not solve problems.
Exactly. Wisdom and knowledge don't. It doesn't.
It's it really comes from the heart, and changing the heart is difficult.
Yeah.
You know, you can change the mind easily.
Exactly.
But changing the heart is a whole nother topic.
A whole nother thing.
It's like it's hard.
The heart has no mind. The heart does not know conclusions. It doesn't know logic.
Yep.
It flows and it ebbs. It's like the ocean. It's super powerful, and it's gonna go where it possibly can.
Yeah.
It's gonna fill every space it possibly can.
Yeah.
And it's vast and it's scary.
Yeah.
But
it's almost like, how do you convince a heart? How do you make a heart care?
Right.
It's almost like you can't force somebody to care. You can't convince somebody to care. How do you change their heart? You know, how do you force yourself to care about something that you don't care about? It's just like, the heart is not so easily, it's not structured in the mind. Whereas the mind is like, you know, you can do something over and over again for 21 days and it becomes habit. It's
exactly.
Like the mind is so organized.
Yeah.
And so structured and so, you know, it's like the sun. And the heart is like you said, it's like the ocean.
Like, I love comparing the heart to water because you can, you know, say you have like a tube that you're trying to put water down, or not even just a tube, but like, I don't know, say water's in the ground, right? Mm-hmm. Water's going to go into every space that it can fit into. It's going to sink down into every little nook, every little cranny, and no matter what you do to try to control the water's going to go.
Right.
You know, the water's going to go there. Water is always moving.
Yeah.
It's always flowing. So there's no way to control the water. There's no way you can control your heart.
Yeah.
So it's better to just go with the flow.
Yeah.
It's better to just jump into the river.
The flow.
Yeah. Because you're not going to be able to control it. It's better to go into the river and decide, okay, and swim and be like, okay, I have this. It's okay. Like, I'm here. And then, you know, go through the motions of speaking.
And I think where the mind jumps in, what's important about the mind is that the mind can stop us from, you know, flowing into dark places.
Yeah.
So that's when the mind jumps in and says, whoa, I'm not going to react off of my emotions right now. My heart is it's flowing too strong right now.
Right.
So that's where our mind is useful, and that's how you can really be like, hold on. Mm-hmm. My mind needs to come to this conversation real quick, because I can't just be using only my heart, and I can't just be only using my mind. I gotta have both.
They have to be together. They have to work together.
Yep.
To be a successful human, your heart and your mind have to work
and
together.
to have a hard conversation, you have to have the heart and the mind working together.
I also think it's important, like, I think, you know, like water's always going to go where it wants to go. So it's important to let it go there. It's important to let your heart go there. But then it's important to use your brain to say, okay, I'm going to let my heart go there, but I'm not going to make it, you know, I'm not going to react. And I'm not going to show that emotion in my physical being. You know, I can feel it, and I can understand that it's there, and I'm aware of it. And because, you know, I know too, when you close your heart off to certain things, that's when your brain still needs your heart in some way. You know, you're not going to feel like soul led. So it's important to feel the emotions and totally break down sometimes, but then understand to have your brain to pull yourself back up and pull yourself out of, you know, the crazy river.
I think that's why the Bible says slow to anger. And I don't want to misinterpret it, but maybe it doesn't say don't be angry. It doesn't say stop yourself. It says be slow.
You're so right.
You know, that's, you know, you can't necessarily control that you have certain feelings.
Yeah.
But you can be slow to it, and you can feel it, but also not react from it.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, have that discernment.
But also,
I don't even know if that's a word, discernment.
I don't know either.
Yeah, it's okay though.
But you guys, when we address people or when we have hard conversations, we also want to go with urgency, because unity is important, and we want to go with inquiry and not accusation.
Mm-hmm.
So we want to go with question and not accusation.
Yeah.
So be ready to, question somebody instead of accuse somebody.
Right.
Is what I'm trying to say.
Right. And it's better to put somebody, at their highest good. It's better to bring, assume somebody was doing something good rather than assume,
Yeah.
or it. Oh, I saw something online the other day that was like, it's better to treat someone how they ought to be rather than treating someone how they are.
Mm-hmm.
And because then if you're treating someone how they ought to be, then the other person is like, oh wow, they thought I was going to do good. Like they thought I was, they thought so highly of me.
Right.
And if that other person thinks that, they start to be like, I want to validate that. I want to continue that vision that they had of me in their head. And I want to tell them, yes, you're right. Like, I want the best, and I want to do the best for us and for you.
Right. Right. And, yeah, like you said, just, kind of see the best in people in a way.
Yeah.
And, when somebody says something, it's so easy to be like, oh my gosh, like, I can't believe you just said that to me. Like,
yeah,
oh
and then completely change
Yeah.
your view on them too.
But it's like, you gotta be like, okay, ask a question.
You're so right.
Don't accuse, ask a question. And that's so important in relationships, because I know, like, Devin has come to me for things, and, like, he'll say something to me that I'm just like, wow, how can you ever say that? Like,
Yeah.
I do this all the time, and blah, 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 blah. But then I have to be like, oh, like, how is that making you feel? Like, why is that making you feel that way? Like, what's important to you, so that I can make sure that doesn't happen again? Or just something like that, and it can really change your perspective on what they meant.
Right.
And change your perspective on their heart in that moment, and, their perspective on
Right.
something and the way they take in things.
Yeah, I think that's a really good thing to remember.
Mm-hmm.
That's really, really good.
Yeah. Yeah, so just, ask questions and get to know the other perspective.
Think highly. Yeah, definitely.
Seek to understand. Let God take care of the rest. Only God can change a heart.
Exactly. And you know your heart, so it's best to act from it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Like, we need God's help. We can be weak, and we don't know everything like God does. God knows everything. God knows everybody's heart.
Exactly.
He knows everybody's heart, so why not reach out and say, God, I don't know this person's heart, and I probably never will. God, can you please help me?
Mm-hmm.
Like, help guide my words, and, show me this person's heart, or even work in my heart and work in their heart.
Yeah.
And do the work for us, God, because you know more than we do, and we need your help.
Exactly.
We can't do everything alone.
We can't. There's no. I don't even know how some people do it without God.
Yeah.
Because I know for me, like, God has put me through some hard things, or gotten me through some hard stuff.
Yeah.
Like, I would not have been able to have strength throughout that stuff.
Right.
Even in little moments.
Exactly.
Those images of Jesus and, like, the hearts that is right here.
Yeah.
There's, like, images of Jesus with his heart.
Yeah.
That just reminded me of that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, like, Jesus knows the heart, and
Yeah.
along with needing God's help, that allows us to trust in God so much when we know that God is the only one that can change someone's heart. And when you reach to God for help, when we trust in God more, then trusting in God avoids fear, and therefore we will not have to fear the outcome of these conversations.
Yeah, exactly.
To avoid the fear of the outcome is to trust God.
Right.
In the situation.
You just completely just fall onto God. Just fully give it to him.
Yep.
Fully give it to him, and then stay respectful, stay loving, stay forgiving, and there you go. You have a productive conversation. Yeah, exactly.
It'll work. Even if it's, like, not even a conversation, but you had the conversation, and then it's like, okay, it didn't go the way I wanted. God's going to take care of the rest. Be kind to that person, be forgiving, and then,
exactly.
You never know what can happen.
Right.
So don't fear the outcome when you have that trust in your heart,
Yeah. And I had, do you have anything else you want to say?
About what?
Just what we're talking about. Like any other points you didn't touch on?
Let's see.
Because I do have a quote that I thought really summed up everything we talked about.
Okay, I have one last thing.
Gotcha.
If we fear, we are silenced and do not act with urgency. Fear silences us. Walk with God in mind, and we will have no fear, and we will not be silenced.
Yeah.
So it'll really open up our throats to speak. It'll really help us. You know, it would guide that conversation in the right direction.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's another hard thing that girls fall into sometimes is, you know, the anxiety of having the hard conversation and then not being able to speak. And I know I've gone into conversations where I just completely freeze. And I have I can't do anything but just cry. That was a big thing for me when I was younger. If somebody was confronting me, I had a lot of trouble responding to them, and I would just break down and start crying and be like, oh my gosh, I can't believe this is happening.
Right.
I can't believe I've done this, like, just so far. And in that moment, I was choosing to run with that fear.
With the fear.
And not, you know, use my mind to be like...
The trust of the situation.
Yeah,
it's
exactly.
gonna be okay.
Exactly. Like, someone you love so much might come to you and have something that's totally gonna hurt your feelings and be like, oh my gosh, I can't believe... You feel like in that moment, I can't believe I've done this to them.
Right.
But it's good to be in the moment and say, you know what, they brought it to me because they love me. And they brought these hard words to me, not only because they love me, but because they feel like they can talk to me about it. And that's that's so honoring, you know.
It's honoring.
And then to move forward with what they've told you and to be like, and hear them out. And make it a productive conversation. It feels so good to preserve your relationship with God and preserve your relationship with them.
Yes.
We've gone through major growth together. Like, I think, you know, we've had our own hard conversations before too, and I think now we're so good at it doesn't even feel hard anymore.
Yeah.
And it, you know, and that's the other thing too. Like, if you're having a the hardest conversation with someone is the first one. When you don't, you know, you'll get better and better at it.
Right.
So as you know, it's really just the first leap of faith that you gotta take.
Exactly. And I think, like, a while ago, me and you had a lot of fear for our relationship.
Yeah.
And it really silenced us to the max.
You're so right. Like, we didn't even hang out.
Yeah, we didn't hang out. We didn't talk. Like, and we knew it was, like, awkward and, like, there needed to be something said, but we just did not say anything.
Yeah, and we didn't know how to.
Yeah.
And I'm so glad that we brought that respect in.
Yeah, and the trust.
Exactly.
And like, got into the conversation.
Right. Like, I think I said this in the first episode, too. I've never had a relationship like yours.
Yeah.
It like, and I don't see respect leaving our table ever.
Yeah.
Like, it's there. It's solidified. It's like, it's in the rock that's underneath of us.
I agree with you.
And, it's a good wall to lean on.
It is.
Yeah.
It is a good wall to lean on. So what was the topic you wanted to lean into, Matt? Because I had just a few notes on, like, how to respond in certain things.
Okay.
But if you want to go ahead and...
There was just one Bible verse that I had to it kind of, like, sums up everything. It's, like, a really straightforward, easy to understand Bible verse. It's Ephesians 4:29, and it says, "Let no unwholesome word proceed from your mouth, but only such as a word is as good for edification, according to the need of the moment, so that it will give grace to those who hear it." And edification means the instruction or improvement of a person morally and intellectually. And I guess this verse is kind of saying, like, completely give that moment that you're in to the growth of the relationship, remembering respect, remembering your trust with God, you know, and remembering the forgiveness and the love and you know,
the goal.
Exactly, remembering the goal and remembering, you know, to give yourself the grace and feel the softness in your heart for the moment. Yeah, I really
That's
like...
a good one.
Yeah. I really like "let no unwholesome word proceed from your mouth." I think I'm going to start looking at life a little bit like that in a way. And And I feel like
That's good.
that verse is kind of like the one you said about slow to speak, slow to anger. It's spirit changing in a way. It kind of changes the way you hold your back, you know, and moment to moment, and how you want to go about your relationships with everybody.
Yep.
I really like that verse.
That can really change a conversation too, like making sure that no foul words come out of your mouth.
Yeah.
You know,
yeah.
like no blaming words, no words of, you know, like harshness.
Right.
If you just speak with respectful, kind words, even if it's a hard conversation or even if you're a little stern.
Right.
Let there be no, what was it, words? Foul?
I think it said unwholesome.
Unwholesome words.
No unwholesome words that, like, and only words that are of the improvement of a person morally and intellectually.
Yeah. And that could change, like, the whole sentence without changing the whole sentence.
Yeah.
It just, like, restructures a sentence to make it more respectful.
You're so right.
Like,
You're so right. Even the tiniest little words.
Yeah, the words.
Yeah.
You can really just restructure your sentences so you don't sound like
yeah, and you can still say the same thing. Exactly. You can get your point across, but with different word choice.
Respectful to one another.
Yeah.
Let's not lash out. Because that's just saying, like, when you lash out, that's just saying, I feel like I can't be heard, so I need to yell at you.
Yeah, and I don't respect it. I don't respect the relationship.
Yeah, I feel inferior already, so I'm gonna try to be the bigger guy.
Just throw it in the trash. Like this is pointless. I don't care.
Yeah,
you know, like this conversation means nothing. It's gonna go nowhere.
Oh
like,
yeah,
it's so.
That's just like you think it's putting you at the top of the leaderboard. But really, there is no leaderboard.
There's no
and
fight.
And you just look like a fool.
There's no fight. There's no fight. There's no...
You know, it's like...
There's no winning.
You don't need to get angry
We've all won.
When you are losing in quotations.
Exactly.
You know.
You're not losing. We're all here together. We're all here. It's lovely to sit there and honor...
Exactly.
You know, everything God has given us.
Yeah. And do it out of respect for yourself, too. You know, you don't want to be that person.
Exactly.
You don't want to be that person. You don't want to practice that. You don't want to wire that in your brain. And how do we respond in hard conversations, you know, like when somebody brings something to us? And I really think it's we should listen and consider.
Right.
Is what we should do. And with that, we need to be
slowing down and
we need to be humble and also show appreciation for their courage and response.
Yes.
Show appreciation for the person's courage for coming to you and saying something because they love you.
Yeah. It's so important.
Especially if they're coming to you with respect, especially.
Yeah. Exactly.
Like I know in my relationship with Devin, he comes to me with things with such respect. Like he never really has, you know, the foul language when he comes to me. And I really respect that about him, and it really, you know, changes my approach on how I respond, and it really guides the rest of the conversation in a great direction because, you know, that respect is there, and the person I can therefore show appreciation for that, you know what I mean? So listen and consider and respond with repentance. Own it. Express sorrow for it.
Yeah.
And don't rush to get through it and don't rush to resolve it.
Exactly. It's so important.
Yeah.
And so it sucks, but there might be some times where you have to sleep on it.
Yeah.
You know?
Exactly. And it's like, you know, sometimes people come to you with things and you gotta say sorry. You gotta, you know, own it. And then
we're not perfect.
Express sorrow for it. Be like, wow, like I really messed up.
Yeah.
Wow. Like, you know, and don't be like, oh, yeah, I'm sorry. Bye.
Yeah.
Yep. I'm sorry, like I already said sorry. Like,
right.
Don't rush to resolve. Like, really
feel for it.
Feel it.
That's a moment where it's important to like feel with your heart. It's important to not just fully go with your brain, because you know when you feel the sorrow of regret and guilt, then you can know how to respond. And
right.
You can know how to be better for the person that you love so much.
Yeah.
And then once you've felt for it, you can then pull yourself back up and say, okay, I'm going to do this.
Yes.
And I'm going to stay true to what we talked about in the conversation. I'm going to stay true to my emotions, and I'm going to really try to make this relationship be the best thing it can be.
Yes. And that also allows you to really give a sincere apology and give a sincere response, because
it's so true.
that way you can really, say it from the heart, and then when you say it from the heart, then you can ask them for forgiveness. And then it can be like a very sincere, like, will you forgive me? Like, I really...
It's real then.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes, and you're doing it like because you want to repair the relationship.
Right. Exactly.
And then once you reflect back, you ask for forgiveness, and then you change, you make an effort to make it better, and to keep the respect for that person. Be like, I have respect for this person, so I'm going to do my best to, make sure this doesn't happen again, make sure I don't say that, or whatever. Yeah. Whatever it was.
Exactly. Right. You're going to feel so much better. You're going to feel like you've honored yourself. You're going to feel happy that, you're going to feel closer to that person after the hard conversation. Mm-hmm. You're going to feel, like that's a hard thing that you just did. You're going to feel accomplished and like you've achieved something.
Right.
And, then once you have that conversation with somebody, then it's like there's almost this like spike of joy that happens the next time you see them, because it's like, wow, we just did that together, and like this is amazing.
Yeah, exactly. And, it can be triggering when people, tell you things that you don't want to hear about yourself. But it's important to know that, accusations and, like, people confronting you about things do not threaten our identity.
Right.
Our identity is not threatened.
Right.
It's not about us necessarily.
You're so
it's
right.
Not, and that's not something you should be worried about right off the bat,
Definitely.
You gotta be willing to change. You gotta be willing to accept things, and you gotta be willing to, like, see yourself fully.
Yeah, you're so right. You're so right. Go with the flow.
Yeah.
And it's scary, but it's beneficial.
Yeah, don't be so scared to, feel like you have this reputation or this identity that's broken.
Yeah, it's not like prideful. That at all.
Yeah, no.
Exactly.
So, accusations don't threaten our identity. We don't need to be worried about that.
Right. It's better to, like, to ask yourself, okay, why are they coming to me with what they're saying?
Yeah, exactly.
And then you put yourself in a position to understand the situation, think about what happened in the past, and think about things you did, thinking about things they did. And it's important when you're doing that to be completely partial, because then you can, using your brain fully to do that.
Yeah.
And not, you think about the situation not with your heart. You think about it with logic, because if you think about it with your heart, then you're going to be partial. You're going to be partial to what you're feeling. So, yeah.
That makes sense, yeah. And it's okay because Jesus loves us too.
Right.
We're loved by God and Jesus, so we don't need to be scared to feel threatened that we're not going to be loved or that our identity is going to be ruined and stuff. Like, no. Jesus loves us. Jesus knows who we are in the heart.
Exactly. And he did the saving, like, the grave is truly empty. This, there's no losing that. There's no losing what he has done for us.
Right.
You know what I mean?
We're loved and we're accepted, and we're not like our ourselves are not being crushed in half from this. Like, we're still whole. We're still learning and changing. We're still loved through
Definitely.
all this,
Definitely. I think too, like, it's hard to think about it like this way, but if they're coming to you with those concerning words, then there's still love there. That's still love. I like, my stepdad is a little bit like, his way of helping you understand something can be sometimes putting it directly in your face. And at first, I was so in my emotions about it.
Right.
So, oh my goodness, I can't believe he's treating me like this. Like, this is crazy. And then I realized, actually, he's doing it because he truly cares. And, like, he tells me these things, and he tells me everything that I might have, not everything, but, like, things he saw that I didn't do fully 100% perfect. And he's doing it because he cares about my edification. He cares about it.
Right.
And like, that's his love. That's his way of loving me.
Yeah.
And it's totally brought me to understand the divine masculine in another way. Because it,
Absolutely.
he's made me a better person for sure. That's and my mom too.
Yeah. And like you said, like it can really bring out things in you that you didn't even see yourself, and it puts it right in your face, and you're
Yeah,
just like,
exactly.
I need to work on that.
Yeah, exactly. It's,
You know?
it's better to just like, you know what? Let me think about it. Like,
For sure.
Yeah, like,
And a loving person will make you think that, you know, if
yeah,
they
you're
come to you like
so
a
right.
freaking jerk,
Uh-huh.
you know, you're not going to think about that, but like your stepdad and Devin, like, they'll make you think like, oh, I want to be a better person.
Exactly.
I want to change, because I know that the way they're saying it and what they're saying, you know, they're saying it with truth, and they're saying it with like
Exactly.
dignity, and it makes sense, and it's
And courage.
and
Uh-huh.
it's just like the divine masculine coming in and saying, hey,
This is
you
what's
know?
wrong, and we're gonna fix it.
Yeah.
You know, yeah.
And then it's expressed beautifully, you know.
It's a beautiful, beautiful thing.
It is.
I think it, you know, definitely compliments us in a way. So
It does.
We see it as like, it's just this amazing thing.
And
It
as
really
as
is.
women, I think women have forgotten that in this day of age.
I think you're right, Mary.
You know, women are so triggered by what men have to say about.
Exactly. They're not
Everything.
in some cases they're not allowed to speak. It's
Yeah.
not fair. Like
Exactly.
men have a very great point of views. They have a point of,
Absolutely.
although it's something that you completely didn't think of
Yeah.
and that challenges your view.
Yeah.
It's important, and it's, if it's completely opposite, maybe it's important to think about it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Even if your conclusion is like, I have a different opinion.
Right.
Think about it.
Yeah.
And consider it. Trust, like, we don't need to always validate through our emotions.
Right.
You know, like there is simple truth.
Right. And two, even in like the way the universe works, is that polar opposites have to, things come in pairs.
Yeah.
You know, there's the negative and there's a positive,
Yeah.
and then they come together to make, you know, an atom. And
Yeah.
and the like, it's this stable atom that then can make elements, and then the world that we see. You know, it. So man and woman, it's important to hear them out, and it's important to have those hard conversations, because we're gonna say completely different things.
Right.
You know, we're gonna bring two completely different things to the table.
Right.
But by putting your pride down and understanding that this is my counterpart, this is my half right here, like it's good to come to a conversation like that.
Yeah.
And honor the divine masculine.
Right.
And stuff.
And I think, like, all women can agree, you know we can soften a man's heart. We know we have the power to
Yes.
do that. We know we have the power to convince
Right.
a man's
That's
heart in a
our,
way.
like, the divine feminine.
Right.
Right.
And so, are we ready to let a man strengthen our mind, though?
Right.
You know,
You're
we can't
so
ignore
right.
that. That's the other half of the, like, we can't ignore that's something that they're capable of doing for us in a crazy way. And me and you have both experienced that.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, let's not be ignorant to that, you know,
Right.
'cause it's true.
Men are important. They provide a lot of structure. And
They do.
And they hold us up. They make that foundation. And I know, too, that they also biologically protect us. Like, I know that sometimes, like, if I don't understand how to go about a situation, I'll go to, you know, a strong man in my life, and I'll just do it, like, fully just trust them.
Yes.
Because I know that, like, well, I go to a man that I trust in my life.
Yeah.
Not just any man.
Right.
But, you know, then what am I saying?
It's having a strong man in my life has made me a better woman.
Yeah, definitely. And they want to protect us. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
It's like that's what they want to do right now.
Right.
So then by going to them and fully trusting their opinion, and like, then I know I'm protected.
Yeah.
You know, like that's one of the things that the divine masculine gives to the divine
Yes.
feminine. You know what I mean?
Yeah, they can get right to the point.
Exactly. Right to the point. Not gonna play games. There's nothing extra.
Yeah, nothing.
There's no
nothing.
There's nothing extra.
They're literally just, and that's why, like, strong men. Like, we're not talking about all men right now. Let's
Yeah.
be real. But strong men,
The actuated men, the actualized men.
yes, they will. You know, that's why they come to you with such peace and, like, just straight to the punches and, like, respect. 'Cause it's just like, dude, I just want to solve the situation, and I know what to say to solve it.
Exactly.
Like, let's just talk about it.
It's just a simple, easy... It's the brain. It's the simple, easy equation.
Exactly.
To just get it done and just to get it finished and to, you know, provide that.
Like, sometimes I'm in such an emotional mood, and then Devin's just, like, pointing out the obvious. Okay, well, let's fix it this way. And I'm just like, so mad because I'm like, I don't want to fix it. I want to be mad.
Yeah.
But it's just like, I know he's right, and I know he knows how to make it right, and he can see right through me, and it's just like, okay, let's resolve this.
I'm just gonna trust him. Yeah. So that's the other thing. Like the divine feminine has something to learn from the divine masculine.
Yeah.
And the other way, like girls can learn something from men too.
Exactly.
And it's, you know, by completely disrespecting all men or completely disrespecting all women, you're defiling each other.
Yeah.
You know, that's not important. You can't look at men and be like, oh my gosh, I'm never gonna trust you. Like, I understand it. There's, you know,
it's
some
a
hard
bad way of
situations.
thinking.
But you gotta work through it. You gotta do the work, like just going about your everyday life and looking at men in a way that you don't like them, or a way that's not respectful. Yeah, it's gonna, you know, you're not offering yourself the best way to be. You're not offering yourself the knowledge that they can give. Yeah, you know, it's like yes, you've been hurt by men in your life, and that's why people come to that conclusion. They're like, oh, men suck. You know, I've been cheated on like 20 times. Exactly. But it's like, okay, well, how many women are out there cheating with their husbands and stuff? Like, there's bad people on both sides of the spectrum. It's not just men or just women. Like, that's the thing. They come together. Exactly. We are all here together. We're brothers and sisters. Yeah. And there's good men out there. There's good women out there. Yeah, exactly. You know, it just, you know, you can't just skip and be like, oh, men suck, women suck. Yeah. Come on now. Exactly. So real. Exactly. It's like, it's crazy. Made me a better woman being with a good man. Oh, 1,000%. Yep. 100%. I've healed my view of men in ways too. Yeah. You know, too. Like it's like me too. Totally seeing, and then put me in a more feminine state. Oh, easily. You know? Easily. By like fully respecting them in the way that they want. Yeah. It's made me be softer for them, and puts me in a place that is more preferable for them too. Yeah. And it makes the both of you happier. You know? And having a man's wisdom inflicting on your life takes you out of that girl mindset of always reacting out of your emotions and, you know, weaponizing your emotions. Right. Into a woman mindset where you can be more aware of your emotions, but also be, you know, strong-minded. And to be firm in that, and to use them for know your good. Power, but exactly. Yeah. Know your power, but also, you know, be a good person and control what you're feeling and what you're saying to people, and to be really like a strong-willed woman in that way. Yeah, definitely. And then therefore she can use that knowledge of her good emotional knowledge to then benefit her man's life even more. Exactly. And feel, exactly. It just keeps going like this. Yeah. It just keeps circling. Feel what the man has done for you, and then give it back to him. Yeah. And provide that warm bed at night and the hot meal because you love what they've given to you. Yes. And you know, make that resting place for them where they can put down their tools and be soft. Exactly. You know, exactly. It's just giving and giving and giving and giving and out serving one another. Yeah. Yeah. Love others as Christ loved us. Forgiven people forgive. Exactly. Loved people love. Christ forgave us. Christ loved us. So let's reciprocate that, because forgiven people give and loved people love. Exactly. You know, and that's just the beauty of all of it. Pretty much. Yeah. I think we did good. It was good. We did good. Let me check the time here. I think it's been an hour. Yeah, it's been an hour. So, you guys, thanks so much for listening. This was such a great podcast. I'm very happy about it, and I hope you enjoyed. Too. Please leave a comment. We're really, really grateful. That's something I want to say, is we're so grateful for not only this equipment, the platform to speak, the respect we get from you guys, the respect we want to give you guys, the love, you know, just even being able to have a voice. Yeah. You know, I'm really grateful tonight, and I'm excited to spend time with family and friends. Yeah, have a great Thanksgiving and holiday to everybody. Good luck on your finals. You know, thank you so much for listening, and we'll see you on the next one. Yes. Bye. Bye.
Oh, that was so good.
Oh, that's so good, Mary.